let's get this going. And I thank all of you who were prompt in getting here. Helps to have a good audience. Tonight, we have a speaker from PG&E. It's Les Putnam. He's a senior public safety specialist, and he'll be talking to us about gas and electric emergencies and response. And following that, we'll have a presentation, a short presentation by Michelle Reinhardt from the Contra Costa County Fire Protection District. The meeting is being recorded, so if you have any questions about anything that got missed, you can go back and watch it. It will be posted on the Lamorinda CERT meetings page by sometime tomorrow morning. So with that, Les, take it away.
Well, thank you, Duncan. Well, good evening, everybody. I hope you can hear me okay. And again, I'll just introduce myself once again. My name is Les Putnam. I've been with PG&E for 13 years. My position is what we call Senior Public Safety Specialist, and primarily my job is to respond to gas and electric emergencies, and then liaison with police, fire, county, OES during these emergencies, as well as so I was asked to come out and talk a little bit about gas and electric safety, and then also give you some information on how to plan for outages, and we'll talk a little bit about different outages that can occur and how to be prepared for those, and it pretty much follows most of the disaster information you guys may have already gotten in the past, but we'll move forward here quickly, and if you have questions, just put them in the chat, and we'll get to them as soon as we can. Uh, whoops. Let's start here with it's not moving. Not sure why. Is everybody able to hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Let me restart this here. Sorry, it was working a second ago. There we go. So one of the things we provide is a handout. It's basically, we call it a flip book, and it has all the basic safety information on how to handle gas and electric emergencies. Duncan, I believe, has provided this to you as a PDF copy. The areas in the book that are highlighted in yellow talk about gas safety. The areas highlighted in red talk about electric safety.
Oh, Les, for those who want to get the
And
flip book, it is available on the LamorindaCert.org meetings page.
so the book, I've made arrangements with Duncan. Perfect. So with that all being said, on the back of the book is the emergency contact number for PG&E for our typical customers. This is the 1-800-743-5002 number. So if you have a gas and or electric emergency, that's the number we want you to call directly. One of the things that what I want to talk about a little bit about is carbon monoxide poisoning. If you're not aware, when your gas appliances aren't functioning properly, they can produce carbon monoxide. So it's imperative that you as a citizen have a carbon monoxide detector inside your home. Carbon monoxide symptoms basically are anything from headaches, nausea, dizziness, lethargy, flu-like symptoms, flushed face feeling, and eventually unconsciousness. And so it's important because this gas cannot be smelled with your nose. So you don't know that it's there, then that it's being produced by a gas appliance that's not functioning properly. So with that being said, it's imperative you have a carbon monoxide detector so it can warn you in advance of rising carbon monoxide gases. One of the things that I want to mention is that how do you really know that you have a gas leak? Well, obviously, if you smell the rotten egg smell, that should be an indicator that there is a gas leak somewhere, either in your home or outside of your home from a neighbor or outside in the street area. There also are indications that if you have active fire over cement or asphalt, there's some type of leak underground from a pipe, and that has ignited and is producing natural gas flames. Also, when we have blowing dust during construction or bubbling water over standing water, these are also all signs that you may have a gas leak in the area. Let's talk a little bit about some of the ignition sources and potential that you may occur with a gas leak. Most people don't know that radios, cell phones, anything with a battery in it has the potential to ignite natural gas. Basically, what happens is those devices will absorb the gas. And then if you get a phone call, make a phone call, or use your radios or use the battery operated device, it creates an arc across the battery, and that has actually ignited gas in certain instances. So don't use those radios that aren't intrinsically safe or your cell phone in an environment where you're smelling gas. In addition to that, manipulating the electric switches in your house while there's a gas leak and or shutting off the breakers outside can also cause a ignition. Ringing the doorbell can cause ignition as well. And then one of the biggest issues is static electricity. So walking over your carpet, touching the doorknob or touching somebody, creating that arc that leaves your body has enough potential to ignite gas as well. And so just remember that if you're trying to leave your house, try to lift your feet up as you walk across the carpet. And if you're approaching the house that has a gas leak, do not walk over synthetic grass or stand on the synthetic doormat in front of the house, because all those things can also create that static charge within your body. One of the things I did want to talk about was gas migration. Some of you may be aware of an incident that happened in last December in Hayward. We had a home ignition explosion, and this was due to gas migration. Gas leaking from a pipe in the street due to construction damage moved underground through other utilities like the sewer pipe, got into the structure, and once it got into the structure, it found ignition sources. And so this is a video that can show what can happen when that occurs. To prevent that, once you find or smell gas inside your house, we want you to leave the house. We want you to shut off the gas meter outside and leave the front door open so that we can get fresh air into the house and keep the gas concentration below the ignition concentration. Leave the house, and you want to leave, get at least 300 feet away from the structure and keep everybody else away until we can get a PG&E crew there and the fire department there to determine what is causing the leak. This is again a video that shows that gas explosion. The other problem here is that everybody is parked directly in front of the structure, and once it ignites, unfortunately, it kills 3 firefighters, a police officer, and a utility worker. So this is just an example of what can happen when a house fills with gas, becomes very dangerous, very explosive, and obviously with ignition sources inside the house can be deadly. I want to talk a little bit about 811, call before you dig. This is a system that if you're digging in your yard, front or yard or backyard or in the street or doing anything like that, you need to call 811 48 hours in advance before you dig. Once you do that, the National 811 service will come out and mark where the underground pipes are in the locations that you've identified. Those pipe colors designate what type of pipe they are. Yellow is for gas pipe, red is for electrical. Then as you see in the chart here, all the different colors indicate what type of pipes are underground. If you strike one of the pipes and you create damage and you haven't called 811, you are going to be liable for the cost of repairs and potential cost for response from PG&E. So I highly encourage everyone who is digging to contact 811 in advance by 48 hours. And when I say digging, that means putting a plant in the ground, planting a tree, any of those types of things are considered digging. When we start talking about how far to stay away from a gas leak or get away from a situation where there's leaking gas that can potentially ignite. Once again, we get this information from the emergency response guide that's produced by the federal government. And that, because natural gas is a hazardous material, they designate that we want to have 330 feet, basically a football field, for your safety distance. So once again, if you're smelling gas, get everybody out of the house, move them 330 feet away from the structure, call 911, and make sure PG&E's been notified as well. So how do you turn off your gas meter? Again, most of you being in the CERT probably have done this before. I just want to remind you that you have to find the valve. The valve is the first appliance that's coming out of the ground, on the pipe that's coming out of the ground. It'll be in line with the pipe. The valve will be in line. You simply put your wrench on there and you turn it 90 degrees, and at 90 degrees, the gas will be shut off into the structure. The next thing you want to do is look at the gas meter dials and make sure that they've all stopped moving, that they go to zero, because once again, that indicates there's no more fuel moving into the structure. The other thing I want to mention is most homes in the Bay Area will have an earthquake valve on their meters. This valve is not a PG&E valve. You own the valve, you maintain it, and you need to replace it if it fails, and you need to reset it if it fails. And so once again, the valve is located typically on the back side of the meter as the pipe goes into the structure. It looks similar to this one here. There's a number of varieties. They typically have a red top. There's a lever on one side or the other, and if it's tripped because there's been an earthquake, it'll shut the gas off going into your structure, thereby protecting the potential for any leaks inside the structure. And so if you need assistance in resetting this because it's activated once again either due to an earthquake or accidentally activated by bumping into it, or maybe even a heavy truck driving by your neighborhood, contact PG&E. We'll send a what we call a gas service representative out, and they can assist in resetting the valve for you. The other thing I want to mention is that you can also shut off gas at each individual appliance. By building code, each appliance has to have its own gas valve. And so if you had a leak at your stove or at your heater or your appliances, turn it 90 degrees, and you've eliminated that appliance from leaking, and it's no longer going to be a safety issue. Make sure you call an appliance repair person to come out, make their necessary repairs, and then they can reactivate or turn that valve back on and reactivate your appliance. So again, once again, remember gas supply, once it's shut off safely, make sure you move away and that you've notified PG&E to prevent any ignition from that. All right, things to do if you have a gas leak: isolate, deny entry, keep people out of the way, make sure you evacuate to a safe distance. Once again, we're thinking about 300 feet. Make sure you call 911 and PG&E so we have an immediate response to assist in making repairs and making it safe. And then again, only turn off the gas if you're smelling the natural gas, and it's again going to smell like rotten eggs. Things we don't want you to do is try to put an active fire that's gas fed out. You want the fire to actually burn the gas fumes away so they don't migrate to other locations inside the structure and become much more dangerous. So let the fire burn, protect your home or protect the structures that might be involved, and leave it at that. Also, don't shut off any other valves. We have valves in the street, we have valves all over the place, but we don't want either our customers or even first responders to shut those valves off. The only valve we encourage people to shut off will be the valve at the gas meter. The other things you're really not going to do, we're not going to squeeze our pipes, but I also remind you that if you have an outside gas leak, we want to stay away from the manhole covers, the sewer or the drains to the underground drainage systems, because if gas accumulates in those areas underground and it finds an ignition source, all those areas potentially ignite and pop the manhole covers off, and those are very dangerous as well. All right, so with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and move into electric safety. And so once again, I don't know, Duncan, do we have questions, or do you want me to stop here for a second?
The only comment I've seen in the chat is that sometimes your audio is breaking up a little bit.
Oh, I'm sorry. Might have an issue with my connection. I'll try to see if I can rectify that here as we keep going on. All right,
Okay.
moving on to electric hazards. Oops, they're going to skip that. We have two different levels of electricity in our system. We have transmission, which is your 60 to 500,000 volts wires, and then we have distribution, which are the common wires in your neighborhood. So with that being said, when we start talking about safety distances, when we have a transmission wire affected, we want to have at least 100 feet away from that down wire, away from that incident that involves a transmission line. 100 feet would be a safe distance. Anything less than that has the potential for the electricity to arc over onto your body. For distribution system, we want to have 30 feet on a dry day, and we want to have 60 feet on a wet day. Once again, if it rains, that's obviously wet, so double the distance for your safety. Basically of the distribution system, our utility poles out there. I wanted to talk a little bit about the wires on the system so that you're familiar with what we have here and what is dangerous and what's not. The highest wire, the primary wire, is the highest energy. That's the 4,000 to 21,000 volt wires bringing electricity into the neighborhood. The electricity then goes into a transformer. The transformer downgrades that wire to the secondary level, which is 240 or 480 volts, which is the typical energy used inside a structure, either commercial. First wire brings the 240 volt, 480 volt down to the structure. It comes in at the weatherhead, which is directly above the electric meter. So at the weatherhead, below that will be the electric meter. And this is where you will go to shut off electricity at your home in the event that you need to do that for any type of electrical emergency in your home. The other wire I want to mention is the communication wire, the lowest wire on the pole. This wire is not energized. It typically has no electricity. This is your Comcast, your fiber optics wires. And so with that, we do still encourage you not to touch or move those communication wires if they're on the ground. We have had instances where those wires have been energized because they've been entangled with our secondary lines further up or down from where the wire is on the ground. So once again, all these wires are potentially dangerous. Leave them alone. Keep your safety distance, and I highly recommend 100 feet for anything and everything that's on the ground. I want to talk about touch potential. Touch potential basically means that anytime a wire comes to the ground, if it's laying on something, that object can also be conductive and be energized. In particular, if it's a metal fence, even a wood fence, a guardrail, anything that conducts electricity, that entire fence now becomes energized. So not only do you need to protect yourself from the actual location of the wire down, you need to keep away from the entire length of the fence, because as you move even away from the wire, even a distance, quarter mile, there's still potential for energy to be inside that fence, beyond that fence itself. So again, anytime you're in that situation, just know that you need to stay away from any surrounding fences, guardrails, trees, anything that might be attached to or still touching that wire. So this is a video of the fire department. They're on a wire down, and hopefully it doesn't play too long, but there's a wire on the right side of the screen. This swing set is energized. The fire department's on the scene. They're trying to mitigate this. They've called the utility company to come out and shut it down. As they pan out, you'll see that the wire is on a bush. It's not touching the metal fence. But as they pan out further, you'll see it's touching the wood fence off to the right. These firefighters are touching the wood fence. They actually are in a very dangerous situation. What you're going to see is that the wire itself now goes to ground. Electricity by nature always wants to go to earth. As it goes to ground, you'll see that the metal fence becomes energized to 60,000 volts. So here, without recognizing the actual danger, the firefighters have put them in a situation where they could have become energized. If the metal fence wasn't there, all the electricity would have gone to the wood fence, and then they would have been probably killed in that situation. So once again, touch potential is very important to understand. So these are all the things that can be energized, right? Trees, when we have arcing wires in trees, the entire tree is energized. Fences, if a wire falls on a fence, it's energized. On a guardrail, same situation. If you're dealing with ladders and you're using any ladders around overhead wires, you need to maintain at least 10 feet for your safety on the typical voltage in your neighborhood. If you're, and you shouldn't be, but if you're around transmission wires, that distance actually increases up to almost 30 feet. So once again, having ladders around our wires can be very dangerous. You need to be cautious of moving them and looking overhead as you move the ladder from place to place and keeping a minimum of 10 feet away from the wires overhead. I'm going to talk about vehicles and down wires. If you have, well, there's potentially three scenarios. The first is you have a person in a vehicle, a wire falls on the vehicle, but the vehicle can still be driven by the occupant, meaning the vehicle is not damaged. It hasn't hit a pole or a guardrail, any of those things. Simply have that person drive the vehicle slowly forward and allow that wire to fall off the vehicle, in which case it no longer is energized. They move 30 feet away to a safe distance, and now we can attend to any needs that they may have. The second, wires on the vehicle's damage can't be driven. Simply tell them to stay in the vehicle. The safest place for them to stay is inside the vehicle. The worst case scenario is that the wire is on the vehicle, they're inside the vehicle, and now the vehicle catches on fire. So I'm going to show you a quick video that shows you how to handle that situation and get out of that vehicle safely and move away from the vehicle without getting electrocuted.
Hello? Sorry, my meeting ran late. I should be home in about a half an hour. Sure, I can pick up dinner. What do you want? Hot and spicy. That's what I'm talking about. I will. I love you too. Whoa. Oh, man. So that's what an airbag feels like. My car. Great. I should probably get out and see how bad the damage is. Wait. Are those telephone wires or power lines? Either way, they could be hot. No way to be sure. Don't take any chances. Just stay in the car and call 911. Good thing I actually paid attention during that safety meeting. Hi, this is Stephen Stonebanks. I've been in a car accident. I hit a power pole. I'm on Highway 18, somewhere east of the 356th Street exit, a couple of miles. No, I'm okay, but there are power lines on my car. Okay, yeah, I know. I won't move until you tell me that the line is de-energized. Yes, I will stay put. Okay, please hurry. Thank you. Honey? Listen. I've been in an accident. No, I'm fine. I'm fine. I hit a power pole. The car is a mess, but I'm okay. Yeah, I've called 911. They're on their way. Oh, no. Hey!
Are you okay?
Hey! Stay back! No, don't come any closer. You could get shocked by the ground around these down power lines. Stay back about 35 feet and make sure no one else comes near.
Okay.
I've called 911. They're on their way. Thank you. Honey? No. I'm fine. No, don't worry. Yeah, the police are on their way. Yeah, all I've got to do now is sit and wait. Honey? I gotta call you back in a couple of minutes. Oh, boy. Not good.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Plan B. Exit the vehicle. But now I gotta worry about touch potential. Touch potential is risk of electrocution based on one part of the body touching an energized object like a car while simultaneously touching the ground. Electricity flows from the vehicle through the body and into the ground, essentially making me into a human jumper cable, which would be bad. I gotta jump and land with both feet together. Whew! Okay, now step potential. Because the ground is energized, electrical current can travel through me if my feet aren't close together. Electrical current enters through one foot and out the other. The further apart my feet are, the greater my chances of getting shocked. So I must move away using short, shuffling steps. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. There you go. You got this, Steven. No large steps, just keep on shuffling. Every day I'm shuffling. I'm sorry, I can't come to the phone right now. I'm busy trying to stay alive at the moment. Almost there.
Hi, honey. No, everything's okay. No, nobody got hurt today. Well, except the, Remember how we were talking about getting me a new car?
Flip.
Oh, no, none at all.
None.
Okay.
Can you
Okay.
explain the two-step?
Yeah. All right. So rather than revisiting the video, so what I want to explain is that once you have the car start to catch on fire, the people need to get out, right? So the process is for them to open the door of the vehicle. At no time can they touch the ground and touch any part of the vehicle at the same time. If they do that, they'll become electrocuted. So they stand inside open the car door, stand inside the door jamb of the vehicle, and then from there, what we want them to do is put their arms across their chest. And when they do that, the reason is that the instinct is once you jump out of the vehicle, that you will have the instinct of grabbing the door to steady yourself. And once again, you would become energized if you did that. So again, arms across your chest, and you're going to take a short hop out of the vehicle, landing both feet at the same time on the ground right next to each other. Once they're at that point, again, never touching the vehicle, once again, they're going to hop or shuffle away from the vehicle. The hopping simply is your 2 feet are together and you hop like a bunny rabbit, each time landing on the ground with both feet together at the same time. The shuffling is what they showed in the video, where you're moving both feet side by side, always touching, and again, moving away from the vehicle. All right, I hope that explains the video, and I apologize for that. I'm not sure why. You turn off the electricity at your house. So once again, you'll find your electrical box outside, right under the glass dial. Typically, you'll have your breakers for your master breakers for your structure. You're going to open the door. You'll have maybe one, maybe several breakers in there. You simply turn them all to off, and that will eliminate the electricity inside the house. Look at the dials once you turn those breakers off and confirm that they stop moving, that the numbers are, all go to zero, and that's going to confirm once again there's no electricity moving into the structure. If you have solar, you also need to disconnect the solar from the house by shutting off the solar disconnect. This would be a separate box next to the electrical panel, which you would pull the lever down and that shuts off the solar. So once again, if you have solar, become familiar with your system and understand how to shut it off in the event of an emergency. All right, the things to do and not to do for an electrical emergency. Once again, ensure your safety first, right? If you're a member of the CERT group, follow the CERT protocols that they've established for any of these situations, and have a way to communicate either via cell phone or radios to other CERT members so that you're accounting for each other during an emergency. Notify PG&E, obviously, and also call 911 for any electrical problems. Treat every line, any utility line that's on the ground as energized until proven otherwise by PG&E. Avoid lines that are on the ground, in trees, or in vehicles. Keep the public away once again, and remember your safety distance. I again suggest 100 feet minimum, but typically, according to the regulations, 30 feet on a dry day for distribution, 60 feet on a wet day, and 100 feet for transmission lines. Don't assume that PG&E has been notified. A lot of times, people think someone else called PG&E and we don't get the phone calls. So multiple phone calls actually indicates that there's an actual incident going on, and can really identify the emergency and get us there a much more timely manner. And once again, don't try to move any electrical lines with any gloves, any sticks, or any other tools. The general public, even the fire department, doesn't have the proper tools to handle electric emergencies. All right, I'm going to go ahead and move into preparing for electrical outages. And unless there's any questions that I need to answer here, Duncan, are we okay to move on?
The only question I saw was about wood fences. They thought that wood was an insulator.
Yeah, that's a great question actually. And the reality is wood has moisture in it. It has water in it. And because of that, wood actually still conducts electricity. We've had incidences of even lumber out of Home Depot that people think is dry, to conduct electricity through it. So it's not an insulator, should not be used to move wires, or think that you're safe using wood. All right, talking about outages, electrical outages in particular. There's two types. There's going to be planned outages and unplanned. Planned would be any time that we're doing maintenance on our circuits, either tree trimming or upgrades of equipment, those types of things for a planned outage. And then unplanned outages would be, unfortunately, equipment failure, a PSPS event during weather, storm events also, and then a disaster such as an earthquake. So for a planned outage, typically you will get a letter in the mail and phone calls 1 week prior to the planned outage. And that will be describing the type of outage that you'll have, the length of the outage, and give you this phone number, 1-800-743-5000, to call for any questions or assistance regarding the outage. So if you have questions or concerns, you can call that number and they'll be able to give you more details regarding the outage itself. On the day of the outage, you want to prepare for the outage. And so once again, these outages are typically going to be a few hours. Some could last all day, depending on the type of work that needs to be done. And so if you have medical devices, you want to make sure that they have backup power supply and that they're fully charged. If you have oxygen devices, that you have backup oxygen tanks for anybody that's on oxygen. If you're on a well system, you want to have bottled water for the duration of the outage, because the well won't be pumping because you don't have electricity for your pump, right? Prior to the outage, you want to turn off your computers and any electronic equipment inside the house so that when the electricity does come back on, you don't get a surge and cause damage to your electronic equipment. Once again, keep your cell phones charged and also have backup batteries for your cell phones so that you can have them charged during the duration of the event. Move your vehicle outside prior to the outage. Put it outside of the garage, because once again, without electricity, you won't be able to open the garage door unless you do it manually, and sometimes that can be difficult to do, especially with a larger garage door. Have batteries for your flashlights. Make sure you have some flashlights available in case the outage goes into the evening. As far as your refrigerator is, keep the doors closed. Your refrigerator will last up to 4 hours without electricity and keep everything in good condition, and your freezer will last up to 24 hours. The other thing you can do, once again, because this is a planned outage, is freeze some water bottles in your freezer, and then when you do have the outage, move them into your refrigerator. That will increase the length of time that you can be without electricity and without your refrigerator operating. So now let's go to unplanned outages. Once again, PSPS, public safety power shutoffs, are one type of unplanned outage. Weather events, storm events, those types of things, equipment failure due to transformers or wires down, and then once again, disasters such as flood, earthquake, tsunamis, and all those types of things, right? And so let's talk a little bit about PSPS. And so most of you in the Lamorinda area probably have gone through a PSPS in the past. We've had several of those in that area over the years. So when we decide to initiate a PSPS, it's typically because of a incoming weather event. We're going to have low humidity levels, usually under 30%. We're going to have higher winds above 19 miles per hour with gusts between 30 and 40 miles an hour. It will always be a red flag day, so you'll hear those warnings from the fire departments as well as from the weather systems in the area. Conditions will be dry. Materials on the ground will have low moisture levels. And then once again, we will be sending people out into the field to take those wood debris and leaves and so forth and determine what the moisture levels are. Once they drop below a certain level, we start making decisions about initiating a public safety power shutoff. So again, we're going to have, during a public safety power shutoff, these typically occur in the early fall all the way into winter. This is typically a wind event with high temperatures coming out of the east, and so this the easterly winds that we all know of, the Santa Ana winds, the Diablo winds. So this can create damage to our equipment, and we don't want that equipment to cause a catastrophic wildfire. So we use the PSPS as a tool to shut off electricity preemptively before that weather comes into the area, right? And so once we do that, once the weather is passed, we'll inspect the system, we'll make sure that we do any repairs, and then we'll be able to re-energize and we'll notify our customers during that. Just as a note, we've had 4 PSPS events in 2025. None of them impacted the Lamorinda area. The events in 2025, 2 of them impacted Contra Costa County in the Diablo region of San Ramon, Danville, Alamo area, and the Clayton area as well. So fortunately, we've done a lot of upgrading to our system, our infrastructure, as well as fine-tuning for our systems so that we have really reduced the amount of potential PSPSs in the future. So the timeline for a PSPS, you will always have notification at least 48 to 72 hours in advance, depending on how quickly the weather comes in. You will get phone calls, you will get text messages, there will be media notifications, Facebook notifications, all these different methods of being able to notify that. I do encourage you as a PG&E customer to go online at pge.com/address alerts and make sure your information is current, including your cell phone, so you can get those alerts directly to your phone and be kept up to date on current information regarding the PSPS event. How do you prepare for a PSPS event? It's really very similar to any other disaster, right? You want to have all the things in your home in a box somewhere that's safe that you can have ready in case that you need it. Things like water, a gallon of water per person for every day, non-perishable foods. For at least 3 ability to open that food with a can opener, a manual can opener. You have a baby or you have pets, make sure you have supplies for your baby and your pet, right? The equipment that you want to have ready are flashlights and backup batteries. You want to potentially get a solar hand crank battery or a weather radio or batteries as well, because then you're not dependent on the batteries to be recharged all the time. You can use the crank to keep that battery charged. If you have electric vehicles, charge them fully before the PSPS event occurs. You may not get a chance to charge them, at least at home, until the event is terminated. Once again, charge your mobile phones and have backup batteries. And then again, a first aid kit, bandages, all those types of things, facial coverings. This is not a wildfire situation, but facial coverings are always good to have in your supply kit. Medication, extra eyeglasses, contacts, those types of things, blankets, clothing, toiletries, cash and credit cards, obviously. And then again, important documents that you may need to take with you in the event that you have to leave the house. We do have another website, Safety Action Center at .pge.com, and there's additional information on how to prepare for not only outages, but any disaster in the Bay Area. The other resource that's available to our customers is our medical baseline program. This is a program that if you have medical needs, such as medication that has to go in a refrigerator, a sleep apnea machine, a respirator, you have multiple sclerosis, you have heating and cooling needs, those types of things, you can apply through the medical baseline program for assistance. That assistance includes a discount on some of your PG&E bill, includes earlier notifications for PSPS events, and other things that are going to help assist you get through a potential event. Once again, there's additional website within PG&E, and I'll list this at the end as well. pge.com/medical baseline. If you go there, they'll tell you all about the program, how to sign up for it, and the qualification that you need to be introduced into that program. There's an additional program called the Vulnerable Customer Program. If you're an elderly person and you meet the qualifications for the Vulnerable Customer Program, you can apply for this. This gives you additional household things as far as getting earlier and more notifications for a PSPS event. We will actually send people out to your doorbell, ring the doorbell, and check on you to make sure you're okay and that you've gotten the information. So we'll do wellness checks as well and in-person visits. And so again, I encourage you to go onto our PG&E website. There's all kinds of resources. A lot of them I don't even have the time to talk about here, but these are available to everybody. We have generator rebates and generator discounts for people that live in a Tier 2 and Tier 3 location, which most of you probably do in the Lamorinda area. So I highly suggest that you look at that as well if you're interested in getting a backup generator for your home. Other information that is available on our website, everything's available in 16 different languages. There's other outage information on our pge.com/outages. All of these websites here that I've got here give you additional information about backup power generation, address alerts, how to track the weather that's coming in, how to know whether your home is going to be impacted by a public safety power shutoff, and other tools, including our medical baseline program. All right, really, this is the last slide, and I just want to kind of remind everybody, be prepared. This is the biggest thing you can do. We live in earthquake country. We get natural disasters. We have weather come through here, so be prepared. Outages can happen anytime and anywhere. With that, there's my contact information, Duncan. I'll leave that there for a moment and answer any questions you might have.
Okay, there's nothing in the chat, but are there any questions for Les?
Yes, I do have a question.
Go ahead.
You mentioned solar power switch shut off, and can you please elaborate on that? I didn't quite get why we have to do the solar power panel shut off.
Yeah, so that's a great question. So when it comes to the solar, if you need to shut off electricity to your house, your entire house, meaning it's on fire, there's an electrical shortage or outage or situation going on in your home, you want to turn off not only the PG&E electricity via the breakers on the outside panel, but you also want to turn off the solar because the solar will still bypass the PG&E and go into either your battery backup and or into your circuits within your home, thereby creating more potential danger to you via an electrical shortage. So again, it's just another way to make sure your home is safe if you have a short going on in your home. You don't need to turn off solar if you have a PG&E outage because that's actually your battery, your backup for the PG&E outage. You can use solar during a PSPS event. There's no problems with that, right?
Right.
But I was just mentioning that as a way to completely isolate electricity to your house.
Okay.
Thank you, Les. Sheila, I trust that answered your question.
Yes, it did. Thank you.
I see something in chat. Um, Matthew was saying super briefing,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah, really good. Yeah.
Yeah, this is typically a 2-hour presentation for the gas and electric safety. I do that in person, and I offered that to Duncan in the future. Happy to come out and do that. But I wanted to keep this brief so that we got the basic information and could answer some questions during our hour. So thank you very much.
Briefly, Les, can you tell us what's on the horizon with PG&E? What PG&E is planning on doing to keep us safer? I know we had wildfire instance, so undergrounding is an issue.
Correct. So undergrounding is one of the tools that we're using to reduce wildfires. And again, our main goal is to eliminate catastrophic wildfires throughout our PG&E territory. So undergrounding is occurring. Typically, it's mostly occurring in the heavy wooded areas, tier 2, 3 areas in the northern part of the state. Not a lot of undergrounding is happening in the Bay Area, mainly because we just don't have the heavy vegetation and the heavy catastrophic fire situation potential. Not to say it hasn't happened. The Oakland Hills fire, there are potential for that. You have that environment in the Lamorinda area as well. So beyond that, we have done a lot of hardening within our system, and by that I mean we've changed our wires from bare wire to insulated wires, and so that reduces the amount of arcing we get during wind. That creates less fire potential. We've upgraded a lot of equipment. We have a lot of what we call SCADA or sensory devices that give us early warnings as to what's going on. We've added cameras throughout our circuit system so we can see any potential ignitions that occur, so we can eliminate the catastrophic fires and by keeping them small and getting a quick response from our local fire agencies. Those are the typical things that we're doing all across our PG&E territory.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Hearing none, I'll thank Les and we'll move on. Our next
Great.
speaker.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night.
Thank you very much.
It was an excellent presentation. Thank
All
you.
right. Bye-bye.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next presentation is by Michelle Reinhardt with On Fire.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. And everyone can see my slide deck, the screen?
Yes.
Great. So first, I'd like to just say, don't worry about taking too many notes. Feel free to ask questions at the end, but a PDF of the presentation will be provided to Duncan. I'd like to start off with 2 thank yous to those in the room. First, thank you to Les and your team for participating in last year's Confire Open House. We look forward to our future work together. Secondly, thank you to Julie Sparks for inviting me as the county coordinator to a recent community event. Events in the community is really where our success is driven. More about success in a moment, and I remain available to support your local event. My contact information will be located in the last slide. With that, So thank you for sticking around and taking the time to hear the updates for all residents in Contra Costa County. Our goal as county coordinators is to connect the fire service, county resources, and the community. When community engagement is high, we can build awareness and potentially save lives and protect properly. So I'll just review our agenda, which is on the screen now. My goal is to bring you current information that you can refer back to as needed. As always, please reach out to me directly with questions. If I don't immediately have an answer, I will work to either provide you with an answer or a resource. There are many moving parts to a particular subject, and sometimes it may require monitoring of legislation or development over time. I want you to know that I remain committed to that process. First, a funding acknowledgement. The county coordinator role is made possible by a pass-through grant from CAL FIRE to the California Fire Safe Council, where Contra Costa County Fire Protection District applied and was awarded the grant based on its need. Our program is meant, again, to leverage the existing partnerships between residents, government, and fire departments. As your Contra Costa County coordinator, I am tasked with providing public education on current programs, often in partnership with public education teams and partner agencies. Identify additional grant funding to support projects and mitigation groups located within Contra Costa County, and to serve as a resource to assist in agency collaboration and the rollout of community engagement. More about the CWPP in a moment. As a reminder, I move between every jurisdiction in the county. I'm available to every city and county department. My goal is to work to build FireWise in every area of the county. We have a significant number and it's building quickly, so thanks for those who support the FireWise program. Strong connections in the statewide resources can help facilitate local initiatives. And by highlighting our local success, it provides a pathway for county coordinators throughout the state to build pathways to further success. And the same in the opposite direction. You and your community are often the spark for larger change. If I haven't had the opportunity to thank you personally, I see some people that I've had some contact with in the past. Please know that I appreciate our connection. Regarding the statewide program overview, I'm not going to take the time because I see that we're running short. I'll forward the link to this video to Duncan for viewing later, but you may see some familiar faces in the background of the video. This is one example of how our work locally is being seen on the statewide stage. Another example is about our Contra Costa Wildfire Mitigation Program, which I have reviewed earlier with this group. I believe Duncan has recordings of that. So I'd like to note just one success for us. That was at the National Wildfire Mitigation Awards. The district was recognized by the National Fire Protection Association, also known as NFPA, with an honorable mention on the nationwide scale for its work completing 103 projects and its use of a virtual dashboard, more in a moment. These projects are all primarily funded through Measure X and demonstrates the district's commitment to supporting wildfire mitigation projects throughout Contra Costa County. 3 additional groups were recognized, and I'll put a link to the announcement into my follow-up with Duncan. Contra Costa County Fire Protection District successfully applied to receive the County Coordinator Program extension, and the funding of that extension is $151,500 over the next 15.5 months. If awarded, this will keep our work going through October 15th of 2027. All short-term goals are outlined here today, but they really feed a larger initiative. Similar to the engagement during last year's Local Hazard Mitigation Plan engagement, county fire agencies are working to secure funding to update our county-wide CWPP, also known as the Community Wildfire Protection Plan. This will take a commitment of time and staff to the process, including community meetings with stakeholders, such as partner agencies and FireWise communities. The minimum requirements for a CWPP, as described in the Healthy Forest Restoration Act, also known as HEFRA, established in 2003, include some collaboration, prioritizing fuels reduction projects, treatment of structural ignitability, addressing the WUI area. So HEFRA advises or emphasizes protecting communities by focusing on hazardous fuel reduction projects within the WUI. This is areas where structures are close to flammable vegetation. It looks at focusing on a at-risk municipal watershed, areas with wind throw or insect epidemics, and threatened and endangered species habitats. It requires extensive collaboration with local, regional, state, and federal partners. All three phases of a wildfire disaster will be addressed in the Community Wildfire Protection Plan: preparedness, response, and recovery. Contra Costa County Fire Protection District gained board approval to lead the update of the countywide CWPP. This will be fire-led and is funding dependent. The goal is to engage with all stakeholders throughout the process. Community meetings will be a significant part of your input, and we will reach out as the process moves forward. Those who supported the local hazard mitigation plan update will remember the time and staff hours needed to bring that plan to full adoption. Soon we will have a countywide defensible space, home hardening, and other videos to assist all fire jurisdictions with messaging. The 2025 COCO program, or County Coordinator Program, that funding will be used to create these educational videos. When you see them on our websites and every jurisdiction's website, please share them. Diablo Fire Safe Council is spearheading an update to the 2022 Regional Priority Plan for both Alameda and Contra Costa counties. This is funded by the California State Coastal Conservancy. They have also completed an update to the Alameda County Community Wildfire Protection Plan. To hear more about the RPP and possibly submit a project for consideration, please visit Diablo Fire Safe Council's website at www.diablofiresafe.org. Once the Contra Costa CWPP funding is secured, support tools will be made available to you and your teams. I look forward to this essential process, which is aimed at building partnerships ahead of a disaster, improving coordination, and aiding in wildfire disaster recovery. The second program that I'll cover today is the Community Contra Costa Wildfire Mitigation Program. ConFire is managing this mitigation program funded by your Measure X dollars, offering all Contra Costa County residents the opportunity to identify and apply for projects that will reduce our overall exposure to wildfire risk countywide. Accessing the wildfire mitigation program is available through the QR code here, also through our website at www.cccfpd.org, also through your local jurisdictions, such as Moraga-Orinda Fire District. An important note, this is not a grant program, rather an assistance program when a community is already working together. One example is an established Firewise community with a leader or a spokesperson that can enter a project into the program portal and serve as a partner throughout the project. We utilize contractors to complete the work. We ask that residents identify the need for partnership and/or permits to help get the project ready. We also ask that the community work together. Working with a person within the community is often less intimidating to a resident who needs help. I, as your county coordinator, am available to a resident who may need additional support. Contra Costa County Fire Protection District is leading this county-wide wildfire prevention initiative, but it's not possible without our jurisdictional partners. This resident-driven program offers the opportunity to identify, propose, and apply for projects that make communities safer and more resilient to wildfire. If you're aware of a local wildfire hazard and you would like to recommend a Measure X funded project, please complete the application form on our website or your jurisdiction's website for consideration by our fire prevention team. As we move through the rest of tonight's presentation, you'll notice that this program is resident-driven. When a planning project is proposed by a city, an entry into the same mitigation request portal is encouraged. Planning projects, such as the installation of an evacuation route, should be addressed at your city level of government. Here you'll see program funding. The Contra Costa County Wildfire Mitigation Program, again funded through Measure X, supports projects and initiatives designed to reduce hazardous fuels, improve evacuation routes, and strengthen community preparedness. Measure X funds are for general purposes. The Board of Supervisors directs how funds should be used. The Board of Supervisors seeks input from the Measure X Community Advisory Board and the community about priorities and community needs. The ballot language states to keep Contra Costa's Regional Hospital open and staffed, fund community health centers, provide timely fire and emergency response, support crucial safety net services, invest in early childhood services, protect vulnerable populations, and other essential county services. The Measure X sales tax, approved by voters in 2020, is a half of 1%, so 0.5%, on taxable purchases. Most groceries are exempt from the sales tax. Prescription drugs and certain medical devices are also exempt. Many projects address multiple areas of need are identified by the community. To learn more about various priorities being funded by Measure X, you can interact with the dashboard or individual project through the Project Explorer. And again, I will provide the link to Duncan. The program provides funding for several types of projects. We have 7 of 8 launched. Community chipping days. I'm not going to go through each one. If you need additional assistance in identifying whether your project meets those needs, please let me know. But I would like to focus on one specifically. So the Low Income Exterior Hazard Control Program. This program assists with eligible low-income property owners with exterior hazard removal, including overgrown or dead vegetation, weeds, combustible debris, and tree litter. This provides up to $1,500 in hazard control or weed abatement work, but it is not a substitute for compliance. Weed abatement deadlines are set countywide, and it is not a substitute for compliance. So for example, a family of 2 with an income limit for this program would be $100,050. You can learn more about the Low Income Exterior Hazard Control Program through our website. Finally, I'd like to just urge everyone, wildfire prevention is a shared responsibility. By participating in these Measure X funded programs, residents, neighborhoods, and communities can take a proactive approach to reduce wildfire hazards, protect lives and property, and enhance countywide resilience. On to the fire hazard severity zones. For many years, insurance companies have been using wildfire risk models for determining where they will write and renew policies and how much premium to charge a policyholder, not the fire hazard severity zone maps. CAL FIRE's maps are required by law, and their purpose is to drive local planning decisions, not insurance decisions. I will provide a resource or a source of my information from the Insurance Commissioner's Office for your pleasure in reading. You can view the fire hazard severity zone maps on the department's website. The district's actions are in response to California Government Code Section 51178, which requires the Office of the State Fire Marshal to identify moderate, high, and very high fire hazard severity zones based on a standardized, science-driven model. Additionally, California Government Code Section 51179 mandates the State Fire Marshal to provide recommendations for local adoption of these designations. Per California Government Code Section 51179, a local agency may not decrease the level of a fire hazard severity zone as identified by the State Fire Marshal for any area within its jurisdiction. This ensures that the fire hazard designations remain consistent with CAL FIRE's scientifically determined hazard assessments. The districts have adopted maps consistent with those recommendations by the State Fire Marshal. CAL FIRE scientists and wildfire mitigation experts develop the fire hazard severity zone maps using a science-based, field-tested model that assigns a hazard score based on the factors that influence fire likelihood and fire behavior. Many factors are considered, such as fire history, natural vegetation, terrain, predicted flame lengths, ember travel, and typical fire weather patterns. You will notice that there's an alignment of the science between the State Fire Marshal's maps and the criteria considered when evaluating a Contra Costa Wildfire Mitigation Program project. Distributing information about the Wildfire Mitigation Program by meeting with communities such as yours will help us saturate our tracking maps and decrease the overall risk to our residents and communities. This work also supports a statewide effort to identify the work and bring leverage access to insurance coverage. You'll see here a future project mapping, which outlines some of the projects that will be included in a county-wide publicly accessible map. The project will enable increased transparency and the ability to view projects throughout the county, not only those within the mitigation program, but those completed by our partners. Our GIS team is currently connecting with GIS teams throughout the county to add completed projects to this initiative, such as projects completed by the East Bay East Bay Regional Parks District, and others are expected soon. This project will be publicly released, we anticipate, in June of this year. While evacuations are managed by our law enforcement partners, we do encourage residents to sign up for the community warning system and their notifications. By locating your evacuation zone, subscribing to Zone Haven, which is now Genesis Protect, signing up for the community warning system, and protecting your homes with defensible space prior to an emergency, residents can take steps to prepare themselves and their network of support. The evacuation zones are created using factors, and this might sound familiar, including weather, traffic flows, street design, historic disaster data, geography, and more. The zones allow first responders to manage evacuation in the most effective way during an emergency. First responders use the program to guide decision-making around if, when, and where to order evacuations and evacuation warnings. Residents of affected areas are alerted using a variety of means, including the Contra Costa County Community Warning System, also known as CWS, NIXL local alerts, social media such as Twitter and Facebook, and the old-fashioned door-to-door warnings. So what do you need to do? My goal is to have each and every one you access the links, again, that I'll forward, but it's cwsalerts.com. That's the first place that you need to go before you put your head on the pillow tonight to keep yourself informed and connected with the County Office of Emergency Services. So I've reviewed the Know Your Zone campaign and how residents can sign up for CWS alerts. Finally, the connective piece to the puzzle. Residents need to understand the concept of defensible space. By accessing the QR codes on your screen and handing out postcards when I'm attending in person, residents are tasked with completing 3 simple steps to increase awareness as the first line effort to stay informed. It is the short-term win for each and every household. It really doesn't stop there, though. It also stresses the importance of working with your neighbors and utilizing the mitigation program to reduce vegetation around your homes and communities, making it safer for them, your community, and the responding crews in the event of a disaster. Our goal, again, is connecting, as I close here, connecting fire services and the county with those residents who need us most. When community engagement is high, we can build community awareness by educating the community on emergency preparedness, defensible space, and home hardening concepts. Finally, this is a photo taken at the 2025 meeting of all county coordinators, where we heard from State Fire Marshal Berlant, Dr. Michael Goldner of UC Berkeley, and others about statewide initiatives and best practices to integrate at the local level. This informative workshop continues to impact my role to this very day. Thank you once again for allowing me to speak. I look forward to our work in the future. With that, I am ready for your questions.
Thank you, Michelle. I have one question for you. What can you tell us about the Fire Ambassador program that Assistant Chief Bachman has been talking about? We're looking at, I believe, August to start training in our area. Is that still accurate?
Thank you, Duncan. You have the most current update from Chief Bachman, and as you know, I don't establish messaging, but I do echo his established message. So yes, you have the most current timeline, and as things progress, we will keep you informed.
Very good. So right after they set it up in Brentwood, Oakley area, then we'll get it next. So we'll be looking for fire ambassador candidates in the Lamorinda, or I should say the Lafayette area,
Lafayette,
because
yes.
Orinda and Moraga already have them.
Yep.
So, and
Julie's
we're
doing a
looking
great job.
for people in evacuation zones 1, 2, 3, and 4, as I remember, north of Highway 24.
Yes, it will be north of 24. We have a high concentration of Firewise communities there and a high level of engagement. Just a note, 10 days from now, we will participate in a two-part series, which I organized with Lafayette, Walnut Creek, and Pleasant Hill, kind of the nexus of those communities, in a two-part series. So it'll be the first part will be emergency preparedness and the update that I provided tonight. And then the second part of the series will be insurance. That'll be held on May 28th. I have representatives from the California Department of Insurance and also United Policyholders. I want to clarify for people that United Policyholders sounds like an insurance company, but they're not. They're insurance advocates. So we have that two-part series coming up on the 21st and 28th. Everyone's been notified. We're moving forward. We do have a high level of engagement on those events, and we do have limited availability, possibly because of our Google limitations. But those that are interested, please feel free to email me. My email is mrine@cccfpd.org.
Thank you. I don't see anything in the chat. Are there any questions for Michelle?
All right, Michelle, I just did it. Signed up for my county alerts.
Yay!
It's pretty simple.
Woo!
It's pretty simple.
It is.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Thank you so much for doing that, Matthew, and I appreciate the engagement. Please share that link with your neighbors. Again, that community-wide effort, registration for CWS, knowing your evacuation zone, that's a really big one. Julie can speak to that for the Moraga-Orinda fire jurisdiction, but all county residents knowing your evacuation zone, because it's like they wouldn't call me and say, hey, Mrs. Reinhardt, it's time to evacuate your home. They're going to call a zone, and it's going to be the community, and Genesis Protect has that map so you can see which zone you're in. I suggest putting that zone somewhere where everyone in your household can see it. Refrigerator is a common landing spot, but along with your emergency numbers and such, just so when alerts come out, everyone in your home has that information. And you can monitor up to 5 zones on that. So just as a personal sharing perspective, I monitor the place that I will evacuate to. I suggest more than 30 miles away. I monitor the zone for my evacuation buddy. I have a friend that I am the evacuation buddy for them. They live in a different zone than I do, so I monitor that zone. And I monitor my parents' zone. My parents are older and may need additional assistance or a little more time to evacuate. So I monitor their zone and then I call them because they still have flip phones.
One other real good reason for knowing your zone is once you are evacuated, that is how you're going to find out if you can repopulate. So whether or not you know your zone, you'll get the message to evacuate because they know your zone. If you're registered, they will contact you. But once you're evacuated, if you know your zone, you can check their maps and see what the status of your zone is and if you can repopulate.
Did you see Jason's comment? I think we're gonna end up with like a zone off, like, the better zone. But it is really all about community, right? Having pride in your community and wanting to protect it and wanting to protect the crews that respond, right? Julie, any
Thank you very
feedback?
much.
Anything to add? We have the subject matter experts sitting right here in the room, so I'd love to, Julie, if there's something that I left out or forgot, something that you'd like to add.
No, Michelle, I think you hit everything really, really well. So thank you so much for covering everything. And yeah, the zones, and Duncan, you mentioned it, the repopulation, after being evacuated for 3 days, being able to know what the status of your zone is going to be priceless, because information is always the thing that people want in a disaster, any disaster. They want to know what's going on, and having a good source to go to for your information is so important. And just like the other references you listed with CWS and stuff, just knowing where to go for accurate information when you need it the most. So awesome job. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for staying over. I apologize, Duncan, that I was wordy. But I didn't go over each and every project type, but I am available to support if any clarification is needed, if somebody has a project in mind.
Thank you. Okay. This recording will be posted on the meetings page on the website tomorrow, and whatever I get from Michelle will find its way up there too. I'm leaving mid-morning tomorrow for the rest of the week, so if it gets to me before I leave, it'll be there right away. Otherwise, it'll be a week from now.
Before my head hits the pillow, Duncan.
Perfect. Thank you. Our next monthly meeting is not going to be on the second Monday of the month. This is an oddball. It will be on Saturday, June 6th. It will be in person. I'm still working with the Lafayette PD. We don't have the location nailed down yet, but we're going to be doing an in-person search exercise with officers from the Lafayette PD. So mark that on your calendars. I don't have a time or a location yet, but we will email that to you as soon as we know. But we have the date set at June 6th, Saturday, and hope to have a great turnout there. By partnering with law enforcement, we let law enforcement see how we can help them. And most officers will say we'll do it ourselves. But by having them work with us and getting comfortable with us, then they will rely on us more. So please mark it on your calendar. And the last exercise like this we did was in Moraga, and we had several members of the Moraga PD doing a search of a park. We found the victims. Unfortunately, they were deceased. They were deceased because they're mannequins and they weren't moving too much. But then we proceeded to find a lot of evidence. We found jewelry, we found weapons, so forth. So we were working with the CSI and the detectives to properly locate and identify and maintain chain of custody, so forth, on the evidence. So it was a very good exercise, and we expect the Lafayette version of it to be at least as good. So we'll see you on the 6th. Julie, do you have anything else? She's nodding no, she doesn't. So I want to thank you all, and we will see you soon. Have a good evening.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.